There's a beach in Thailand that tourists wrecked so thoroughly, the government had to shut it down for 4 years. Not damaged, not strained, but closed. The coral was dying under the boats, and the only way to save it was to bar the door. It's open again now. They charge you to go. And that's the thing about this list. These aren't places that got unlucky or accidentally popular or spoiled by a few bad apples. Every one of them knows exactly what it is. Somebody counted the tourists, worked out what could be charged, and built the machine accordingly. You just weren't told before you booked. So here's how it usually goes. You save up. You plan it for months. You look at the same photograph about 40 times, and then you're actually there, standing in it. And there's a queue and an entry fee and a bloke with a laminated sign and someone at your elbow selling bracelets. And you think, is this it? That gap between what you were sold and what's actually in front of you is what this video is about. 12 places. Some of them you'll have been warned about. A few will surprise you. One of them isn't a place at all. It's what happens outside the gate. And one is a straight fake, built for tourists, sold as tradition, and most people never work it out. Number 12's last for a reason. It's the only one where people don't come away annoyed. They come away feeling like they were part of it. Number 1, Maya Bay. Let's start with the one that proves the whole point. Maya Bay, Koh Phi Phi Don. You've seen it even if you don't know the name. It's the cove from the beach, the DiCaprio film, the one that spent 25 years as the single most photographed stretch of sand in Southeast Asia. Here's what happened to it. The film came out in 2000, and the boats started arriving, and they didn't stop. By the mid-2000s, you had thousands of people a day going into a cove roughly the size of a football pitch. Speedboats anchoring on the reef, longtails idling in the shallows, sunscreen, fuel, feet. The coral died. Not most of it, around 80% of it gone. So in 2018, the Thai government did something almost unheard of. They shut it completely, and it stayed shut for nearly 4 years while they tried to grow it back. Now, I want to be fair here because the closure genuinely worked. Blacktip reef sharks came back. Some coral recovered. It's the one part of this story where somebody did the right thing. But then it reopened, and you should know what reopened actually means because it isn't what the photograph suggests. You can't swim there. Swimming's banned in the bay. Boats can't enter the cove at all. They moor around the back, and you walk in through a floating pontoon. There's a time limit on how long you can stay. The bay closes completely for a couple of months every year, and there's a national park fee on top of your tour price. So the trip is a boat, a queue, a walk, an hour on a cordoned beach with several hundred other people. All of you photographing the same 40 meters of sand from the same angle, trying to get the shot without anyone else in it. That's Maya Bay now. And I'm not saying the rules are wrong. They're the reason there's anything left. If they'd carried on the way they were going, there'd be nothing there at all. But think about what people are actually buying. They're buying the poster. They're buying a photograph from 26 years ago of an empty beach that hasn't existed in a quarter of a century. And when they get there, what they find is a heavily managed queue with a ticket price because the thing in the photograph was destroyed by the people who came to see it. That's the whole video, really. Right there in number 1. The place was ruined by exactly the demand that's still selling it. Number 2, the Grand Palace. Now, this one's different from everything else on the list because the palace itself is genuinely magnificent. Gold, glass, mirrored spires, the Emerald Buddha. It's the most impressive thing in Bangkok, and I'd never tell anyone to skip it. The problem isn't inside, it's the 200 meters of pavement outside the gate. Here's what happens, and it's happened so many times to so many people that it has a name. You're walking towards the palace. A man approaches you. He's friendly, his English is good, and quite often he's wearing something that looks official. A uniform shirt, a lanyard, sometimes a badge. And he tells you the palace is closed today. Special ceremony, royal holiday, Buddhist observance. It changes. Sometimes he doesn't say closed at all. He says you can't go in dressed like that, which is clever because there is a real dress code and you probably are wearing shorts. Either way, he's very sorry and he has a solution. There's a tuk-tuk right there. Cheap, 40 baht, 50 baht, basically nothing. It'll take you around some other temples while you wait. And that's the whole thing. That's the trap. Because you don't end up at temples. You end up at a gem shop or a tailor. And once you're inside, the pressure starts and the government-approved stones you're being shown are worthless and the driver is being paid a commission for delivering you. 2 things worth knowing. The Grand Palace is open every single day. It does occasionally close for genuine state events, But you can check that yourself in 30 seconds before you leave your hotel. And nobody official is standing on the street outside telling tourists it's shut. The second thing is worse. It's been running for decades. Decades. This isn't a new scam or a clever one. It's the most documented tourist scam in Asia. It's in every guidebook, it's on the embassy pages, and it is still there today in daylight, 200 meters from one of the most guarded buildings in the country, which tells you something. And here's the part I keep coming back to because I've been in the middle of one of these. I asked for a tuk-tuk to the markets. That's all. Simple trip, clear destination. Instead, we stopped at one place, then another. And one of those stops wasn't a normal tourist detour at all. Down dark alleyways, up to a locked gate, the driver talking into a walkie talkie. I genuinely thought, what is happening here? Then the gate opened. Small building. Someone let us in. Handbags, watches, a shop we never asked to visit. And I bought a watch. Not because I wanted a watch, because I was somewhere I didn't know, behind a gate that had been closed behind me, with a driver who'd taken me somewhere I never agreed to go. Your ability to just say no disappears very quickly in that situation. Only after that did he take us to the markets. So, no, the Grand Palace isn't the problem. The palace is worth every baht. It's that the country has decided to let a decades-old confidence trick operate on its doorstep. And the first thing a lot of visitors experience in Thailand is somebody in a uniformish shirt lying to their face. Number 3, Damnon Satchawak Floating Market. This is the one people don't see coming. And it's the closest thing on this list to a straight fake. The floating market is one of the great images of Thailand. Wooden boats, women in straw hats, produce piled up, canals full of trade. It's on the tourism posters. It's in every guidebook. It's the picture that made you want to come. That was real. It's just not what you're looking at. Damnon Satchawak was a working market. Farmers actually sold produce off boats there because the canals were the roads. Then the road network arrived and trucks got cheaper than boats and the trade moved onto land. The same thing that happened to canal markets everywhere. The market didn't die though. It got repurposed because by then the photographs were famous. So what's there now is a performance of a market kept running for the people who came to photograph it. And once you know that, everything about the visit makes sense. The price is first. You'll pay several times what the same thing cost on land. Souvenirs, food, all of it. Not because anyone's being sneaky, because it isn't a market. It's an attraction with market-shaped scenery, then the boat. You don't wander around a floating market. You get in a paddle boat with a fee attached, and you're taken along a fixed route past stalls that are largely selling souvenirs, fridge magnets, elephant trousers, wooden frogs. The produce is set dressing, and the timing. It's about 90 minutes to 2 hours outside Bangkok, and the tour buses leave before dawn to get you there for the photographs. So you're up at 5 in a minibus for 2 hours to spend 45 minutes being paddled past a gift shop. Now, the frustrating bit is that real ones still exist. Amphawa's a genuine market where Thai people actually shop, mostly at weekends, mostly in the evening. Talingchan is much closer to Bangkok and far less staged. Neither is a secret. They're both in the same guidebooks. But Damnon Satchawak gets the buses because Damnon Satchawak is the one in the photograph. And that's the pattern on this list, isn't it? The image outlives the thing. Then the image gets sold long after the thing itself has gone. Number 4, Koh Phi Phi Don. If Maya Bay is what happens when tourism destroys a place, Phi Phi Don is what happens when it replaces one. This is the main island, the inhabited one where you actually stay. Maya Bay is on Phi Phi Lay next door, uninhabited, the one you visit for an hour. And Phi Phi Don was genuinely one of the most beautiful places in the country. 2 bays back to back, a strip of land between them, limestone cliffs, the sort of water that doesn't look real in photographs. Here's what greets you off the boat now. A Burger King. That's not a joke, and it's not me being unfair. You get off the ferry, and there it is. And that's the island in one image, because what happened here is that the beauty was used as raw material. Every square meter of the flat land between the bays got built on. Dive shops, bars, hostels, tour agents, massage places, more bars, tattoo studios, more bars. There's essentially no gap between them. At night, it's a party island, and it's a specific kind of party island. Buckets of spirits sold from carts, fire shows on the beach, music from 4 directions at once until it gets light, which is completely fine if that's what you came for. If it is, you'll have a brilliant time, and this entry isn't about you. The problem is the mismatch, because the pictures being used to sell Phi Phi are all of the other island. The empty cove, the cliffs, the water, and a lot of people arrive expecting that and find themselves in what's essentially a very loud strip mall on a tropical beach, and the pressure shows. There's an old problem with waste and sewage on Phi Phi because the island's infrastructure was never built for the number of people who now sleep there. It's a small island carrying a very large night out, which brings up the thing nobody wants to say about number one. Maya Bay closed for 4 years because tourists destroyed it. Everyone agrees that was a tragedy. Phi Phi Don has had exactly the same thing happen to it. The difference is that nobody's closing it because you can't close a place people live and work and earn on. So it just carries on louder every year. Number 5, Khao San Road. Khao San Road is about 400 meters long, and for roughly 30 years, it was the most famous 400 meters in backpacking. If you were doing Southeast Asia on nothing, you came here. It's where you found a room for a couple of quid, sorted your next bus, met people going the same way, and got a fake student card if you needed one. The beach opens here. Every backpacker novel of the 90s is set within 100 meters of it. That version is gone, and it's been gone longer than most people realize. What's there now is a street that sells the memory of itself. Go down it, and you'll find bars with photographs of what it used to be. Souvenir stalls with the same 6 t-shirt designs, all of them referencing a backpacker scene that no longer really exists. Buckets of spirits sold to 18-year-olds. Scorpions on a stick, which nobody in Thailand eats and which exist entirely so that Westerners can photograph themselves eating one. Lao bars competing directly with the Lao bar opposite. And the prices are Bangkok tourist prices on a street whose entire reputation was built on being cheap. That's the part that gets people. You come to the famous budget street and get charged more than you'd pay in a neighborhood where actual Thai people go for dinner. Now, here's the current bit, and it's the reason this one's on the list rather than just being an old complaint. Khao San isn't just changed, it's struggling. Bookings on the road were running more than 20% below the previous year after Songkran this year. Songkran being the water festival, which is Khao San's single biggest week. Operators have been publicly asking the government for help. So it's a street that traded on being the beating heart of budget travel that's now expensive and that's emptier than it was. And I think there's something quite sad in that, honestly. Not because Khao San was ever perfect. It was always a bit ridiculous. But it used to be ridiculous because that's genuinely what was happening there. Now it's ridiculous on purpose for the photographs. Number 6, Patong Beach. Patong is the one everybody's been warned about, and it's still the first place most people book. That's worth sitting with for a second. There is no shortage of information about Patong. Every forum, every guidebook, every video says the same thing. And it remains the default because it's the bit of Phuket with the hotels, the airport transfers, and the package deals attached. So here's what you actually get. The beach itself is fine. It's a proper beach, long, sandy, decent water. It's also lined shoulder to shoulder with sun loungers, and it's the busiest stretch of sand in Thailand. Behind it is Bangla Road, which is the reason Patong has the reputation it does. Bars, clubs, touts, ping pong show flyers, the lot. Same as Phi Phi, completely fine if that's why you came. But a lot of people book Patong because it came up first and then discover their family beach holiday has a nightlife district bolted to the back of it. Now the money. Patong is one of the most expensive places in Thailand to be a tourist, and the gap between Patong prices and normal Thai prices is enormous. Food, drinks, taxis, especially taxis. Phuket's transport situation is notorious, with fares that make no sense relative to the distance, and it's been a running complaint for years. And then the jet skis. This is the one Patong is genuinely infamous for. You rent a jet ski, you bring it back, and you're told you've damaged it. Scratches on the hull, something wrong with the engine, then comes a demand for money, sometimes thousands of dollars. And it's rarely a polite negotiation. It has been reported on for over a decade. There have been crackdowns. It keeps happening. Same pattern as the rented scooter, which is the version that catches even more people. And this is where Patong stops being a taste thing and starts being the actual subject of this video. Because the beach didn't do anything wrong. The beach is a beach. What Patong has become is a place that identified the single most profitable thing about itself. A constant supply of people who don't know what things cost, are only there for a week, and will pay to avoid a confrontation on their holiday. And built the entire town around that. Number 7, 8, and 9, 3 that just aren't worth the trip. Right, 3 quick ones. These aren't scams and nobody's being ripped off. They're just places where the effort and the reality don't match, and where you'll spend a day getting somewhere to think. Right, that's it then. Bua Thong, the sticky waterfalls. An hour or so outside Chiang Mai and enormously popular on Instagram. because the rock has a mineral coating that gives it grip. So you can walk up the waterfall without slipping. Genuinely unusual. Here's the day though. You get out there, you walk down a long, steep path to the bottom, then you queue. Because everyone else has also seen the same photograph, and there's one route up, and you're going up it behind a school group. Then you're at the top and you walk back. It's free, to be fair. So if you've got a spare day in Chiang Mai and nothing else on, fine. But it's routinely sold as a highlight, and what it actually is a queue on a wet rock. Hua Hin, Hua Hin's the Royal Seaside Resort, 3 hours south of Bangkok, big golf scene, long established, very safe. And among people who've spent real time in Thailand, it has a specific reputation, which is that nothing happens there. It's calm to the point of flat. The beach isn't the best in the country, the sea isn't the clearest, and the town is largely built around golf, retirement, and hotels. There's nothing wrong with any of that. If you want quiet, that's exactly what's on offer. But people book Hua Hin expecting a beach destination and get a very sedate golf town with a beach attached. And it uses up 3 or 4 days of a 2-week trip getting there and back. Ayutthaya, old capital, an hour and a bit north of Bangkok, UNESCO listed, and the ruins are historically enormous. This was one of the largest cities on earth in its day. The problem is entirely practical. It's ruins and it's flat and there's very little shade, and it's Thailand. Most people go on a day trip, arriving mid-morning, walking around brick foundations in mid-30s heat with the sun straight overhead. The sites are spread out, so there's transport between each one, and every one of them has its own entry fee. By the third temple, a lot of people are finished. And that's not Ayutthaya's fault. It's genuinely significant. And if you're interested in the history, it's worth the day. But it's sold to people who aren't especially interested in the history on the hottest part of the hottest day. And it doesn't survive that. Number 10, tiger attractions. Before this one, if you're still watching, hit the like button. It genuinely does help this get in front of more people, and it costs you nothing. Right. Number 10, you've seen the photograph. Somebody crouched next to a full-grown tiger, hand flat on its back, grinning at the camera. It's one of the most shared images to come out of Thailand, and for about 15 years, it was on every backpacker's list. Here's what's actually going on in that picture. The tiger is lying down. It's always lying down. It doesn't move. It doesn't react to being touched. And there's a queue of people waiting to take the identical photo with the identical animal in the identical position. Wild tigers do not behave like that around strangers, ever. Now, the operators have explanations for it, and I'll give you them straight. Tigers are nocturnal. They sleep 16 to 20 hours a day, and these ones have been raised around people from birth. That's the official answer, and parts of it are true, but the conditions are where it falls apart, and that part isn't really in dispute. Concrete enclosures, short chains, cubs separated from their mothers early, because a cub that's been hand-reared is a cub that can be handed to a tourist, and a very short window in which a cub is profitable, after which it's an adult tiger that somebody has to feed for 20 years. Thailand's most famous one, the Tiger Temple in Kanchanaburi, was raided by authorities in 2016. What they found there ended it as a tourist attraction, and I'd rather not describe it in detail. It made international news, and you can look it up. Others are still operating. And the thing about this entry, it's the first one on this list where the regret isn't about money. Nobody comes home from a tiger park feeling scammed. They come home with a genuinely great photograph. And then a year later or 5, they see something about how it works and they look at that photo differently, which is a much worse feeling than being overcharged for a boat ride because you can't get a refund on it. You just have the picture. Number 11, Pattaya. Pattaya is the one where you can see the whole thing happening at once. The demand, the build, and now the bill. 60 years ago, it was a fishing village. Then it became a rest stop for American servicemen during the Vietnam War, and it never stopped being what it became in those few years. Everything since has been built on top of that. Today, it's the most concentrated tourist economy in Thailand. Beach Road, Walking Street, tower after tower of hotels and condos, restaurants in every direction, and one of the world's best-known nightlife districts running right through the middle. Now, the beach, Pattaya Beach, is not a good beach. That's the bit that surprises people who booked it as a beach holiday. The water quality has been a documented problem. For years, it's a city beachfront rather than a stretch of coast, and locals will generally send you 20 minutes down the road to Jomtien if you actually want to swim. And it's changed character in a way that catches people out. The restaurants have shifted heavily toward whichever market is currently arriving. Several of my commenters have pointed out how hard it's become to find actual Thai food on some streets, which is a strange thing to say about a city in Thailand. But here's the part that makes Pattaya the most interesting place on this list. It's emptying. Hotels there have reported occupancy as low as 15 to 20% this year. The provincial tourism body has described visitor numbers down 20 to 30%. Industry data for May had the city running at 30 to 40% against a normal low season benchmark of 60 to 70. I made an entire video about it, so I won't do the numbers again. But stand on Beach Road at the moment, and the strange thing isn't that it's abandoned. It isn't. The signs are lit, the doors are open, the staff are standing there. It's that it's a city built for a volume of people that stopped arriving. And that's what happens at the end of this cycle. First, a place gets popular, then it gets built for the crowd, then it gets priced for the crowd. Then it starts treating the crowd as a resource rather than as guests. And then eventually the crowd works out, it has other options. Pattaya is the version of this list where you can see how the story finishes. Story number 12, the elephant camps. And here's the one people feel worst about. Because with everything else on this list, you can shrug, you got overcharged, you queued, you had a rubbish day out. Annoying, not the end of the world. This one people carry. Riding an elephant used to be the Thailand photograph. Before the tiger picture, before the infinity pool, it was you on an elephant in the jungle. Everyone's parents have that photo somewhere. And it looks harmless. It's a huge animal. You're one person, the mahout's sitting up front. Everyone's smiling. Here's what isn't in the frame. An elephant doesn't naturally accept a person on its back. To get one that will, there's a training process. And it happens young. And it's built on breaking the animal's resistance. That's what the phrase elephant crushing refers to. I'm not going to describe it. You can look it up, and honestly, you'll wish you hadn't. The saddle is its own problem. An elephant's spine isn't built for weight on top. Riding platforms, day after day, cause lasting damage. And that's the part that gets people. Not that they were tricked, that they were there, smiling, paying for it. And they didn't know because nobody in the entire chain had any reason to tell them. Now, the good news, and it's real. Genuine sanctuaries exist now. No riding, no performing, no bathing on demand. You watch, you sometimes feed, you keep your distance. They're not hard to find and they cost about the same. The catch is that a lot of places calling themselves sanctuaries aren't. The word isn't protected. If a place offers rides or shows or a queue of tourists scrubbing an elephant in a river, that's a tourist attraction with a nicer word on the sign. So, like 12 places, and they're all the same story, aren't they? Somewhere beautiful. Then somebody works out what it's worth. Then it gets built for the crowd, priced for the crowd, and eventually run on the crowd until the thing everyone came for is the one thing that isn't there anymore. Maya Bay is the honest version. They destroyed it, admitted it, shut it for 4 years, and now sell you a ticket to look at what grew back. Everywhere else on this list is still pretending. So I want to know, which one got you? Which place did you save up for? Travel to, stand in, and think, is this it? Because I read every comment, and the last video I made came almost entirely out of yours.